All right, today we're going to dive into a topic that's, well, it's pretty personal and can be really painful, but it is absolutely essential for a healthy life. We are talking about something called emotional weaning. Think of it as the painful but necessary upgrade you didn't even know you needed. So, let's get right into it.
And I want to kick things off by just asking you a question. Straight up, what is your emotional pacifier? I mean, really think about it for a second. We've all got one, right? Something we grab onto for comfort when we feel like nobody sees us or hears us. Just figuring out what yours is, that's the first huge step.
So, what exactly is this pacifier? It's not something you hold, it's a belief. It's that little voice in your head that says, I shouldn't have to tell you. If you really loved me, you would just know. You know, it sounds kind of romantic, like something you'd hear in a movie. But the source material we're digging into today says this belief isn't romantic at all. In fact, it's a total recipe for disaster. It's basically us acting like infants, expecting our needs to be met without ever having to say a word. And look, the stakes here are incredibly high. This one single belief, this is a huge reason why marriages fall apart and why good people just up and quit their jobs. So why is that? Well, when we're stuck in this belief, we stop treating people like partners or teammates. Instead, we start treating them like our mother, just expecting them to magically know what we need and give it to us. And that is an impossible weight to put on anybody's shoulders.
Okay, so what happens when that deep need for someone to just get you isn't met? And let's be real, it's never going to be met perfectly. Well, we don't just let it go. We start showing symptoms. We start desperately looking for unhealthy substitutes to try and fill that hole.
And here's the kicker. This isn't just a maybe, it's presented as a direct consequence. The whole idea is that if you don't go through this emotional weaning, you will search for substitutes. It's like this unconscious drive just takes over, trying to find anything that will soothe that inner child's need. So the first big substitute is power. The thinking goes, okay, if people won't magically give me what I want, then I'll just make them. This is where things like control, manipulation, and just demanding that people do what you say, that's where it all comes from. It's a really desperate attempt to bend the world to your unspoken will. Now, the second substitute that's pointed out is pornography. And this might seem totally different, but if you look closer, the motivation is actually the same. It offers this fantasy of comfort and satisfaction with zero conditions. It gives and gives without ever asking for anything back. No communication, no vulnerability needed. You can see why it's described as the perfect digital pacifier. All right, so that's the problem, and those are some of the really painful symptoms. But what's the cure? I mean, how do we actually get out of this mess? Well, the solution is a process. It's the whole point of our discussion today, weaning. In this slide, this just lays it all out perfectly. This is the absolute heart of the matter. On one side, you have the unweaned child. How do they express their needs? Tantrums, pouting, getting angry, the silent treatment, we've all been there. But on the other side, the weaned adult does something pretty revolutionary. They use their words, they communicate. This is the fundamental upgrade from being a child to being an adult. You trade raw, messy emotion for clear communication. So how do we make that leap? Well, it comes down to two really courageous steps. Step one is just realizing the simple truth. If I don't ask, I'm not going to get it. People can't read your mind. You have to actually say what you need. And then comes step two, the really scary part. You have to accept that if you do ask, you might get rejected. That's the vulnerability of being a grown-up. You might not get what you want. And you have to learn to be okay with that, to comfort yourself instead of demanding it from someone else. And look, taking these steps is hard. There's just no two ways about it. But the reward, the result, is so profound. It leads to what is beautifully described as a weaned soul, a state of real, genuine inner peace. Just listen to this amazing image from the text. King David wrote, "My soul is calm and quiet, like a weaned child." Wow, what a powerful metaphor, right? It's not the stressed out quiet of a hungry baby who just got a pacifier. It's the settled, peaceful quiet of a child who knows they're loved and cared for, but who isn't dependent on getting everything they want that very second. So, what does being a weaned child actually mean for us in our day-to-day lives? It means you build resilience. It means you no longer completely fall apart when your needs aren't met right away. You don't spiral into a pit of despair or rage just because someone says no, or they just don't understand you. Your sense of who you are isn't so fragile anymore. It's grounded in your own ability to handle your own feelings. And this change, it's a total transformation. You go from being a taker in your relationships to being a trusted partner. You learn that incredibly valuable skill of waiting, of having patience, realizing the world doesn't actually revolve around you. You learn to take responsibility for your own happiness. And maybe the best part is, you can still trust people, but you're no longer putting these impossible, mind-reading demands on them.
So let's bring this all home. Let's talk about the bottom line. This whole journey is really about one thing: freedom. But as we're about to see, that freedom has a price, and it's a painful one.
And here it is. If you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this: your emotions are your responsibility. Not your partner's, not your boss's, not your parents'. They are yours. Truly owning that is the definition of being an emotional adult.
And so this is where we'll end. Letting go of that emotional pacifier, that deep down belief that someone else should just know what you need, it hurts. It really does. It can feel like you're losing all your security. But what you gain is so much better: your own voice, real partnerships, and true self-reliance. That is the price of freedom. And it's a price that's absolutely worth paying.